Okay, I think I'm all set up and we are ready to go. So good morning. Please get out your pillows, your blocks, your belt. We're going to use them today. We're going to start down in a child's pose. I recommend orienting yourself to look towards the screen. I'm going to go sideways just so that you can see that I'm going to put my hips, my butt back over my heels. I'm going to try keeping my hips down on my heels. Now, if your feet don't bend, if you don't have ballerina feet, they don't point very comfortably, you can modify this because we're going to be in child's pose for a while. You want to modify this so that you can settle in and breathe comfortably, not be in pain the entire time, by putting a folded blanket or two underneath your shins so that your ankles can hang off and you're not forcing the fronts of your feet to do ballet if they don't do ballet, if you don't have feet, ankles that flex. Another modification you can make is that folded blanket or cushion can go behind your knees if you have knees that don't bend. So big toes together, knees apart, hips back on your heels, propping yourself up with your poise. And then get a couple of blocks or a pair of stacked fists and rest your third eye, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potatoes, third eye on your stacked fist or on the edge of a block or two, so that your third eye, that spot between your eyebrows, is supported and your hips are back on your heels. Do whatever you want to do with your arms. Arms can be out in front, they can be back by your heels, out to your sides, whatever you want to do with your arms. And settle in. So this is Balasana, child's pose, curled up in a ball. And you'll very quickly discover that when you take nice deep breaths, your breath has to push into your back body because your front body is squished. So nice deep breaths to massage your back from the inside out. And observe how your body feels this morning, where the breath is going. And then challenge yourself to breathe into where the breath doesn't want to go. So maybe you're getting plenty of breath in your back ribs. Well, then try breathing into your lower back or vice versa. Use that breath to begin to break up unnecessary tension. Now, keeping your head heavy, press your hands down into the ground and back your hips up onto your heels even more. And when I press my hands down into the ground and back my hips onto my heels, my head comes off those blocks. And if you were just using stacked fists, of course, you no longer have your head supported on your stacked fists. But let your head hang heavy. As you press your hands into the floor, back your hips up to your heels even more, rounding your back even more so that your spine sticks out like a Stegosaurus dinosaur. Chin is tucking to your chest, hips are pressed back onto your heels. Keep on breathing. Your challenge is to curl into a tight little ball, walking your hands back towards your knees a little bit more, pressing harder, hips onto heels, chin tucked deeper to chest, breathing into those back ribs. Crawl your hands back, another hand print closer to your knees, and push your hips harder onto your heels. Chin tucked tighter, deeper to your chest. Nice deep wrinkle across your front ribs as your back ribs flare. And then release. You get to slide out onto your belly. So come lie on your tummy And you might use that padding underneath your front hip bones. Do keep your blocks nearby and your belt nearby because you might need them. Lying on your belly, hip bones on some padding. You're going to curl your toes under, shimmy your legs closer together. Bring your legs all the way together. Stick your knees together, glue your knees together, and then bend at the knees, keeping your thighs and knees together. Let your heels separate. And then shimmy, rock, and work those legs even tighter, closer together. And as you shimmy and rock and work those knees, keeping your knees together, work those legs tighter, closer together, your heels go wider apart. Now, I don't care how you orient your feet. Feet can be pointed or flexed, it doesn't matter. Let your legs get heavy. Let your heels sag open out to the sides. And then you can release your upper body, whatever is comfortable with your upper body. So you might end up putting your forehead on the back of your hands or resting your cheek on the back of your hands. Just be here now. Continue to breathe into your back body. And this gets sneaky. A few breaths into this, it begins to get more and more intense. Keep breathing. Breathing into your back body. Notice where the breath wants to go. And challenge yourself to breathe somewhere else. So maybe that breath wants to go to your lower back. Well, then breathe into your upper back or vice versa. And notice what happens. And then you get to straighten your legs. Toes curl under, and now you're going to take your legs apart, 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 apart. So knee toe, take your legs nice and wide apart as they're willing to go this morning. And then you get to once again bend your knees, bring the bottom of your feet together. You can reach down with one hand, then the other. Take those knees a little wider, kind of ease your skin, your thigh meat out wider. Take those knees out wider. Keeping the bottom of your feet together. Maybe those big toes dive down towards the ground. And breathe. Again, same trick. Notice where the breath wants to go. And then I dare you to breathe somewhere else. Keep on breathing. And then separate your feet and bring your feet down to the ground. So looking down from above, you kind of look like a frog. Knees are wide, feet are wide. Your ankles are flexed. You kind of got a 90-degree right angle at the ankles, a 90-degree rightish angle at the knees, and maybe a 90-degree angle at the hip. All right, pick a leg, any leg, it doesn't matter which. Take that leg and let the thigh bone rotate in the hip joint. The knee stays down on the ground as you hacky sack, rotate the thigh bone in the hip joint. I'm keeping my knee bent and I am rotating the thigh bone in the hip joint. And it's funky. And depending on your personal hip mobility, I've never actually seen anybody flip their leg all the way over towards their shoulder, but you might be going further than I am, or less. And just notice what's happening on that leg that you chose to do first. And don't be surprised when you switch sides, go ahead, switch sides, that the other leg may or may not have that same range of motion. We're doing the second leg now. Rotating. Thigh bone in hip joint. Feeling all kinds of hip stuff happening. And then just to mess with your brain, let's alternate legs. One leg, then the other. Just for fun. One leg, then the other. And come to settle. All right, toes curl under, knee toe, work your legs back together, all the way together. Bending at the knees, shimmy, waddle, waggle. Get those thighs together, your knees together, your heels apart. Let's go back to that whale tail variation. Again, it doesn't matter what you do with your feet here. Just let them be heavy. Heels wide, knees narrow. And breathe. Again, I challenge you to breathe somewhere else. All right. Stretching your legs out behind you, toes curled under. And push through your heels, lift your knees up. Pick a leg, any leg, it doesn't matter which. Pick a block on its low, long orientation, and you're going to tuck it underneath one thigh. And if you got two blocks, you get to tuck it underneath the other thigh too. You can do both legs at the same time. So tuck in those blocks underneath your thighs. So it's not under the shin, it's under the thighs. Elbows come underneath your shoulders. Toes are curled under, still powering those heels back. Shoulders shrug away from your ears. Pull your tummy in. You can even tuck your chin to your chest. Look down towards your chest. Lift your chest up. Lift your belly up. Make sure your belly is working. Shoulders away from your ears. It's kind of like a plank, but you're not really doing much of a plank here. You're just engaging those abs a bit. Your challenge is to keep those abs working, even as you widen those elbows and melt your chest back towards the ground. You might need the belt for this one because you're going to reach back, grab a hold of one foot. And if your legs are so long and lovely and your arms are too short for you to reach back and grab a hold of that ankle, use the belt to help you lasso that ankle. And then you get to release your upper body to the ground. Legs stay narrow, close together. The block underneath your thigh makes it easier for you to grab a hold of that ankle and drag the heel all the way to your butt. Now practice this like you're wearing a short, tight skirt. Keep your legs closed, zipped up. Heel all the way to the butt. Shoulders away from your ears. And if you're feeling this in your lower back at all, make sure that belly is pulled in. The more you engage your belly, the less your lower back will feel this. Want to go for a quadricep stretch. The front of the thigh is where you want to feel this. And you might feel it a bit in the front of your shoulder. All right, you did one leg. Go ahead, release it. Toes curled under. Once again, elbows underneath your shoulders. Shoulders shrug away from your ears. Look towards your chest. Lift your chest up. Lift your belly up. Power through your heels. If you want to get a little air time, you can float for a split second here. Do make sure your tummy is strong. Reset. Legs are together. Reach back, grab a hold of the other heel, and then settle in. Keeping that belly pulled in tight for the duration if you got a tender lower back. Otherwise, Work on dragging that heel all the way to your butt. Shoulders are shrugged away from your ear, heel dragging all the way into your butt. Legs narrow. And release. Again, all 10 toes curled under, elbows underneath shoulders, looking toward your chest. Shoulders are shrugged away from your ears. Chest lifts up, belly lifts up, pushing back through your heels. Maybe everything lifts up for that elbow plank for just a split second here. Now here's your challenge. You can repeat exactly what we just did, or keep that tummy strong. Keep both legs straight and strong, lowering those hips down so that you can reach back, grab a hold of one heel. Doesn't matter which. The other leg is still working though. You're still pushing back through that heel, still lifting that knee up on the straight leg. Pulling that tummy in super strong. Giving you one more thing to think about. The straight leg, still pushing back hard through the heel, keeping it engaged. Now you got a good grip on that foot, hopefully, theoretically, so that you can try straightening both legs, but you're holding on tight. If my hand were to slip, you'd see that leg fling back. I'm holding onto it nice and tight as I kick hard, trying to straighten both legs. And that just makes the stretch more intense. Trying to straighten both legs, straight, 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 straight. Work, 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 work. And then relax. Elbows underneath shoulders. Shoulders away from your ears. Look towards your chest. Lift your chest up. Lift your belly up. Lift everything up. Keeping that tummy strong. Gonna reach back, grab a hold of the other foot. Heel to the butt. Keep working it. So the straight leg is straight. It's working hard, pushing hard through the heel. You're grabbing hold of the other ankle, dragging heel to butt. And then when it won't come any further, closer and tighter to your body, you kick like you're trying to straighten. Kick, 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 kick. Hard. And relax. Elbows underneath shoulders, shoulders away from your ears. Pull your chest up, pull your belly up, lift up for your plank pose. And then you get to come on down. I'm going to move my blocks out of the way and back up into that child's pose. So big toes together, knees apart, padding underneath or behind your knees, whatever you need to do. You curl into that child's pose. And then hands walk back towards your lap. I'm going to take those two blocks side by side, butt cheek configuration, one for each butt cheek, and sit upon them. If you know you have an especially tender back or sensitive knees, you might even cover that up with a pillow. Give yourself even more support, more height. Have a seat, crisscross applesauce with your belt nearby. One shin in front of the other. Sit bones wide apart. Shin bones side to side, side by side. Shoulders shrug up, back and down. Hands on your lap. Gonna pull in that tummy. Tuck your chin slightly. Tuck in your front ribs. Push down, hands are nice and heavy. Knees push up. So I'm locking my arms out. Knees are going nowhere, but I'm pushing up hard with my knees and I'm holding my hands on my lap so my knees go nowhere. Knees are pushing up, both knees hard. And breathe. And relax, recross, put the other shin in front. Same thing, you're sitting towards the front edge of your sit bones. Hopefully you're sitting on enough stuff that your hip bones are higher than your knee bones. Your thighs slope down. Hands on your lap. Knees are pushing up. Arms are locked straight. Knees go nowhere, but you're pushing your knees up hard. And you're breathing. And relax. Recross again. You have the option to sit upright. Or if it works for you, if you're able to stay with a flat back, almost even back bend, you have the option to slide forward and maybe put your elbows on your lap. So either holding down with your elbows or those locked arms, knees push up. And you breathe. And relax. One more time. You get to recross your legs, put the other shin in front. Hands on your lap, arms locked out straight, or elbows. You're able to lean forward, almost back bend forward. Advance your chest forward. Push up with your knees. And release. Come on up. Take a moment to stretch those legs out. Give them a good shake. And then the bottom of your feet get to come together. Feet together. Heels come in close. Sitting on the front edge of your sit bones. Ideally, again, you're sitting on enough stuff that your thighs kind of slant down. If your knees are really flying up high, sit on more stuff. Ideally, you want the hips higher than the knees, or at least the same level as the knees. Shoulders are back, chest lifted. And again, depending on how much stuff you're sitting on, how long your arms are, you might need the belt to help you get around the pinky toe side of the feet. If you have long enough arms, you can create a basket and hook your fingers underneath the pinky toe side of the feet. Get a hold of the pinky toe side of the feet, either with your fingers interlaced or holding onto your belt. Shrug your shoulders back and down. You're going to pull up, like you're trying to lift your feet up with your hands, with your belt. Push your knees down. Breathe. Jam your feet together hard. Push the pinky toe sides of your feet into each other hard. Push your feet down. Push your knees down and pull up with your hands. Pull up on the belt. Shoulders down. Nice long neck. Breathing. Keep working. It looks like I'm just kind of sitting here, but I'm pulling hard, pushing hard. And relax. I'm going to take the whole situation out a little bit. Same thing. Now, with your legs further out, it does put a little weird bend in the knees a little bit. So make an effort to really pull up on that belt. Again, I can't reach that far with my hands. So you might need a belt. Looped around the pinky toe sides of the feet. Shoulders down, chest lifted, feet jam down, knees push down, hands pull up. Belt pulling up. You might even tilt forward a little bit on the front edge of those sit bones. Pushing your feet into each other, pushing your feet down against the floor, knees pushing down against the floor, pulling up on that belt. And relax. Maybe take those feet out half a footprint, maybe a whole footprint, even further out away from your body. So there's my boys.
Hi.
Hi, I'm doing yoga right now, guys. Okay. All right. So belt looped around the bottom of your feet. You're going to pull up on the belt. You're going to push down with your feet, push down with your knees, and work it. 2 8-year-olds right there having a sleepover. And keep breathing, keep working. Release. All right. Legs go wide, out to the side. Shoulders up, back, and down. Big inhale, arms come all the way up. And release. Make sure those inner thighs down, outer thighs out, sitting towards the front edge of those sit bones, and pile that flesh up behind you. You are still sitting on blocks, still sitting on a pillow. Feet flex flat. So either your arms are long enough to reach down, touch the floor, or maybe touch down on the blocks that you're sitting upon. You're going to sit up nice and tall and push your heels down into the floor. Hard. Push your inner thighs into the floor. Hard. Let your chest lift up. And breathe. Pushing those heels down, pushing your thighs down, lifting your chest up. Still breathing. Now the distance between your legs doesn't change. In fact, you want to engage like you're squeezing your legs closed a little bit as you hinge forward. Keep breathing. Heels down, thighs down. Legs squeeze in a little bit as you advance your chest forward. You might find a tipping point where you want to bring your hands forward. You can do that. Make sure you're not slouching. Still advancing your chest. Heels down, thighs down, legs narrow, squeezing in as you continue to advance your chest forward. And release. All right. From here, get to Kappa squat. It might be kind of easy for you just to pop up into that squat. Go for it. Coming into that squat. Hanging out in that squat. Let your feet go as wide apart as the mat. Maybe even turn your toes out to the side. Shoulders back, chest lifted. Elbows can come down on the inside of your knees. Knees squeeze against elbows. Elbows press out against knees. Now, if squatting is not working for you, you can go back to that butterfly pose. That's the one where you're sitting with the bottom of your feet together. And you can repeat holding on with the belt, pulling up everything we just did. Otherwise, you might be pleasantly surprised that that squat came pretty good, easily to you this morning. Shoulders down, chest lifted. Elbows push wide, knees squeeze narrow. Since I am no longer on those blocks, they are available, ready to go, for me to turn this into a forward fold. Hands on blocks, feet as wide apart as the mat. Nice deep forward fold. Hands touching something all the way down towards the floor. Maybe your hands do indeed come to the floor. You are in a forward fold. Hands are touching something. Feet are as wide apart as the mat. And you're going to let your hips roll across the top of your thigh bones. You're going to shift and sway side to side. You might find that you're bending one knee, then the other. Shift and sway. Unstick your feet, let them pivot, whatever they need to do so that your knees and ankles are comfortable. And just feel this in your back body. And again, check in with your back body, breathe. And again, I'm going to challenge you to breathe somewhere else. So maybe you are feeling this in your hips and lower back. Notice what happens if you take a deep breath into your back ribs. Maybe take a deep breath at the base of your skull. Still in this forward fold, you get to heel toe wiggle your feet wide. Do make sure both feet are on the same surface, both feet on the same sticky mat. So if you are using more than one yoga mat, that's nice. You can just step from one to the other. Come into a nice wide-legged forward fold. Again, using blocks so that your hands touch something. Toes turn in, heels kick out. Wide-legged forward fold. Knees are unlocked. Transfer your hands up onto your lap. That means bend your knees and crawl, roll all the way on up to standing. Good morning. Feet nice and wide. Park one block on either end of your mat. Let your feet be as wide apart as your outstretched arms, so ankles underneath wrists, and then turn all 10 toes to the right. Lining up heel to heel. If you're new, heel to arch if you're not so new. Nice wide stride between your feet. Great big inhale, arms come all the way up and overhead. And exhale, bring arms level with your shoulders. Invite that right knee to bend as you come into your warrior two stance. Now we worked on thigh mobility, thigh hip mobility, rotated that thigh bone around in the hip joint. So your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to pick up that right big toe. Maybe shift a little bit more weight to the pinky toe side of that right foot. Swing the right knee out to the side. Shoulders down, chest lifted. And breathe. And then come all the way on up. Pivot your feet to go the other direction. All 10 toes to the left. Your chest is still oriented forward. Arms come up and overhead. And again, exhale, coming into that warrior two. Same thing, I'm going to challenge you, dare you to pick up that big toe. Left knee opens out to the left. Warrior two stance. Shoulders down, chest lifted. And inhale, come all the way on up. Pivot, switch sides. Don't forget to move your feet. All 10 toes pointing to the right. Coming into that warrior two stance. Now let's shift a little bit more weight onto that left heel. So shifting weight to the left, reaching out over there, left hand down your thigh. Right arm comes up. Right big toe lifted, right knee still swinging open. As you reverse this warrior two, feel the stretch in your side ribs. If you feel that stretch in your side ribs, you have permission to go ahead to lunge a little deeper. And inhale, come all the way on up. Pivot, switch sides. Come into it. Left big toe up, left knee bent. Shift weight onto that right heel as you reverse that warrior two. Maybe lunge a bit deeper. And come on up. All right, switch one more time. Third time's a charm here. Make sure you do have those blocks parked. Arms come up. Exhale into that warrior two. Big toe lifted, shoulders down. Shifting weight back. Taking weight off of this leg. Shifting your weight back into that reverse warrior two. Now your challenge is to keep weight off of that right leg. As you shift out over the right leg, you're going to place your hand on a block. Drag that back leg in, maybe a half a mat, a big step. Shifting weight onto that right leg, but then lifting weight off of the right leg, lifting up. A trick to getting weight off of that right leg is to take this left leg in the air and then push down through the inner heel, pushing down against a fire hydrant to help lift weight off of the standing leg. Big toe lifted, little movements, big toe lifted. So there's still an arch in that right foot. And you're balancing. Half moon pose. And touch down. And come all the way on up. Let's switch sides. Pivot all 10 toes to the left. Inhale, arms up. Into that warrior two. Knee is bent. It will look like the leg straightens, but it stays bent. Big toe is lifted. There's an arch in the foot for the duration. We're going to shift weight off of that left leg into that reverse warrior two. Knee is still bent. And then tipping out over the left leg, trying to keep weight lifted off of the left leg. So I'm going to use that block underneath the left hand. Right leg lifts up as high as it's willing to go this morning. And then when it won't go any further, I push down. Lift weight off of the standing hip. Belly pulls in. Balancing. And soften. Touchdown. Let's come all the way on up. Let's take a moment in a nice wide forward fold. So feet go wide, toes in, heels out. Come into that forward fold. Toes turn in, heels kick out. Pick up the pinky toes now. Pick up those little toes. Knees unlocked in its nice deep forward fold, pinky toes lifted, heels pushing out, knees stay unlocked. When you find your balance, you have the option of clasping your hands together behind your back, interlacing your fingers, and pressing your knuckles up towards the sky. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Let the back of your neck be long. And then hands to your hips, bend your knees, and slowly roll all the way on up to standing. And find your belt. I'm going to throw that belt over your right shoulder. Find your feet underneath you. Palms forward, take a great big shoulder shrug up. Exhale back and down. Shift your weight over onto that right foot. Right knee stays unlocked. Be able to pick up all 10 toes. Big toe especially, be able to pick up the big toe. Standing on that right foot, shoulder shrug that left shoulder up onto your back. And then reach back and grab a hold of that left ankle. The belt is there. If you're having a difficult time grabbing hold of the ankle, hold on with the belt. Grab hold of the ankle. Heel to butt. Shoulders back, chest lifted. Standing knee is soft. Standing tall. Breathing. Standing knee unlocked. If this is working for you, you take the free arm in the air. And breathe. Kick back into your dancer pose. So you're pushing the heel back. You're doing your best to balance. Kick, 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 kick. And then straighten up and let's switch sides. So you need the belt on one side, you might need it on the other. Standing on the right foot, shoulders up, back and down. Right knee stays unlocked. Toes are lifted for the duration. Grab hold of that left ankle. Using the belt if you need to. If you have a free hand, it comes in the air for you to balance. Standing knee is soft, and then you kick back for your dancer pose. Try to stay as upright as possible. I'd like you to see here that I'm keeping my thighs narrow, trying to make small movements so I don't fall over. Knees narrow. And release. Okay, so going back to that first side, belt optional. If you need it, you need it. Standing on that left foot, shoulders up, back and down, reaching back, grabbing hold of that right ankle, right heel. Left arm in the air, breathing. Kicking back for that dancer pose. Doing your best to breathe, all 10 toes on both feet flared. Legs narrow. And begin to tip forward. Slowly. Tipping forward. So your gaze starts to look down towards the ground. And then slowly come back up. And we'll do the same on the other side. Shoulders back, chest lifted. Grabbing hold of that other ankle. Standing knee stays soft. All 10 toes are flared. Right arm extended. Kicking back. Standing up. And then challenging yourself to begin to tip forward. So your gaze shifts down. Starting to look down towards the floor somewhere. And then come back up. And release. So that extended arm at one point when you were tipping forward got really heavy. And it was tempting to drop it to the ground, which we're going to go for. But first, I'm going to get your blocks. Bring those blocks up onto the mat with you. I'm going to do it sideways facing. So pick a leg, any leg. As soon as I turn sideways, the right and left thing gets real confusing. So pick a leg, any leg. Shoulders are back, chest lifted. The leg that you're standing on, you want to have the block ahead of that leg. So I'm going to be standing on this leg, so I'm putting the block ahead of that particular leg. Shoulders back, chest lifted. Hitchhike, grab a hold of that ankle, heel to butt for your dancer pose. Kicking back, begin to hinge forward, starting to look down towards that block, maybe reaching down to the block. And you'll notice that as soon as you reach that block, your shoulder wants to drop. Well, then just let it. Can you begin to turn your chest open to the side of the room? So you took your dancer pose and you turned it on its side. And you're balancing. It helps to keep that big toe lifted. Gently. Balancing. Maybe continuing to turn your chest to the side of the room. Keep spreading your toes. Slowly, gently. And then whoop, fall out of that one. And we'll do the other side. Hip stuff. Oh. Other side. So whatever leg you're standing on, the block is ahead of that particular leg. Now reach back, grab a hold of that ankle. Hand in the air. Kicking back. Tummy strong, helps with balance. Beginning to hinge forward. Reaching forward. Touching down on that block. You'll notice that you tend to drop a shoulder when you take hold of the block. Continue with that, turning your chest to the side of the room, rolling open. Breathe. Flare those toes. All 10 toes spread. Both knees unlocked. And then you get to fall out of that. We're going to do it one more time on each side. And if you haven't noticed the theme already, that idea of holding onto something and pushing like you're trying to escape your own grasp. A moment ago when we did our half moon here, you had this lifted leg in the air and you were pushing down to lift weight off the standing hip, out of the standing hip. Same idea. You're going to be tipped over in a moment. You're going to be on your side, doing around the moon pose, holding onto your ankle, trying to kick out like you're escaping your own grasp. And at the same time, taking that bent leg, I'll just do it. Taking that bent leg and pushing down to help you lift out, lift weight off of the standing hip. So this floating knee is pushing down towards the ground against an imaginary something. Just breathe, you'll be fine. So put that block ahead of whichever leg you'll be standing upon. Shoulders back, chest lifted, belly strong. Grab a hold of your ankle. Standing knees stay soft, all 10 toes flared. You have arches in both feet. Arm comes up. Kicking back, make sure you've got a good grip. So use that belt, don't be shy if you need it. Kick hard, begin to hinge forward. Let the shoulder drop, let your chest open to the side of the room. Holding onto the block. Evolve, revolve, open up to the side of the room. And then kick, like you're trying to escape your own grasp. Push down, lifting weight out of the standing leg. Take the weight out of the bottom hand. Play with it. Don't forget to breathe. That little extra energy, that push, that oomph, gives you a couple seconds of strength, a little bit more stability, a little bit of power, perhaps. And then fall all over the place, but that's part of it. Then you get to switch sides. And one side is always better than the other. So don't beat yourself up until you try the second side. So standing, block ahead of the standing leg. Shoulders back, chest lifted, grabbing hold of the ankle. Raise your hand if you got this. Raise your hand if you don't got this. Fake it till you make it. Hinging over, tipping forward. Going for around the moon. Very intermediate / advanced balancing pose. Very challenging pose. There's a lot going on. All 10 toes flared, knee unlocked. Getting some strength and power, making small adjustments, maybe taking weight out of the bottom hand. Maybe breathing, maybe smiling, whoop, maybe eventually turning your head to look sideways, slowly. And then you get to come out of this one into a forward fold. Let your feet be about that narrow width of the mat width apart. Blocks can be underneath your hands. Let this be a recovery pose. Unlock your knees and let your hips shift and sway side to side. Breathe into your back body. And then breathe somewhere else in your back body. And just taking your breath somewhere else shifts your weight, gives you a different experience. Hands on blocks. Because we're going to come down into a complicated seated pose, and we're going to get into it in a funky way. So here I am, bent over, hands on blocks, and I'm going to cross one leg in front of the other. It doesn't matter which. If you wanted to mirror image me, that would be your left leg in front. And then using those blocks, taking your feet wider and wider apart, you're going to set your knees down. Left leg crossed on top. Feet nice and wide. So show you both feet. There you go. And then you can take those blocks and tuck them underneath your butt and sit. Go Mukasana legs. Cows go moo. Go Mukasana, cow's face pose. Your hips, your legs, knees don't do this. Simple crisscross applesauce or any other seated position you like. I do recommend sitting on blocks. Ideally, again, your hip bones are higher than your knee bones. So unless you got really mobile hips, you're going to need to sit on something to get those hip bones higher than your knee bones. Shoulders are up, back, and down. Again, sitting on stuff allows you to get weight on both sit bones so that you can take your hands free and not fall over. Both sit bones equally weighted, and you might need to reach back and rearrange the merchandise there so that both butt bones are touching down on your blocks. Inhale, take your arms up. And exhale, release. Well, let's repeat once again. Big inhale, both arms up. Head down. One more time. Big inhale, both arms come all the way up. And you're going to twist towards the top leg. So if this is your left leg, you're going to twist to the left, taking your right arm diagonal across. My backhand isn't touching anything because I'm sitting on a block. But you might be able to take that backhand, back of your hand, into the small of your back, into your waistband, grab a hold of your waistband, and help hike that shoulder around. Going for a twist. Looking forward, take that back arm, snake it through. Get those arms to cross as tightly as you can. So crawl that bottom arm through, and then hook that bottom arm up, wrap the top arm around. Shoulders down away from your ears. Nice, long, elegant neck. So your arms are echoing or mirror imaging the legs. And tick-tock your head side to side. Let those shoulders drop down away from your ears. Oh, maybe even yawn. As you push your arms up, shove your knees down. So I'm pushing my lap down towards the floor. It doesn't look like anything, but I am pushing those thighs down as I'm pushing my arms up. Again, arms and legs mirror image each other. So they're moving away from one another. And release. You get to come on forward into a downward facing dog. First one of the day, downward facing dog. And in this downward facing dog, you can move those blocks forward up towards your hands. Take your dog for a jog. Swish and sway. And then walk your feet all the way up to your hands. Hands transfer back up onto those blocks. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So crossing the left leg in front. I think I made the mistake of looking at myself there. All right, other leg in front, whatever leg that is for you, taking your feet wide, putting your knees down, and sitting on a couple blocks perhaps. Yeah, I have to switch sides. Other leg. That's it. All right, other leg on top. So this would be your right leg on top. Feet go nice and wide, sitting on the front edge of your sit bones. Breathing, shoulders up, back, and down. Inhale, take both arms up. And release. And again, make some adjustments. Make sure you're sitting on enough stuff, sitting on the front edge of your sit bones, both sit bones making contact. Your knees are happy. As you come into that twist, twisting towards the top leg. And breathe. Back arm snakes through. Nice and tight. Flipping it up. Wrapping it. And breathe. Same idea, pushing your lap down as you push your arms up. And then release. All right, tip forward. Once again, downward facing dog time. From downward facing dog, set your knees down, find those blocks. Now stack them up like a layered cake, one block on top of the other. Make some contrast there, one block on top of the other. This is going to go underneath your sit bones and it's going to go wide width. So this is the orientation. This is just going to go underneath your butt. So from the rear view, it looks like this. Heels are narrow alongside the blocks. Knees are together, heels are narrow. You're going to sit down on top of those blocks. That's what it looks like in the rear view. From the front, legs are together. Virasana, hero pose. Thighs parallel, knees together. Heels are apart on the outside of those blocks. You're breathing. Shoulders up, back, and down. Arms go up overhead. To finish off this hero pose, Virasana, you clasp, interlace your fingers, press your palms up. Thumbs up, pull your pinky fingers back. Head is on level and straight. This is a stress position with your arms and a relaxation position with your lower body. And ideally, you find equilibrium between the two. So somewhere between stress and relaxation, we're doing our yoga. Thumbs up, pinky fingers back, front ribs and belly pull in, heads on neutral and straight. Trying to find that neutral upright spine. And breathe. Feeling that wrist stretch. Bend your elbows, hands come behind your head. It is more of a chest opener if your palms are still turned up. A little easier if your palms are facing the back of your head, so you choose your own adventure. Head is on level and straight, shoulders are down away from your ears. Now keep your hands clasped together, interlaced. Bring them out in front of you and notice the weave of your fingers. You're going to re-weave your fingers so the other index finger is on top and it feels funky. Press your palms out, up, and overhead once again. I told you this was a stress position with the arms. Squeezing shoulder blades down your back, thumbs up, pinky fingers back. You're draining the fluid out of your arms. And at the same time, you're constricting blood flow into your legs. So all of that blood is pooling in your organs. Keep on breathing. Once again, you get to bend those elbows, hands come behind your head. Big chesty breath. Palms up for more challenge. Head still on straight. It's windy. And then release. Oh, feel the blood flow back into those arms. And let's get the blood to flow back into those legs with another downward facing dog. Jogging your dog, pedaling your feet, swishing and swaying. If down dog is just not your thing, you can do your quadruped, one leg at a time. And eventually you get to come on down and finish the way you began in that child's pose. So don't be shy about using your padding. You might need it for those ankles or behind your knees. Set it up. Big toes together, knees apart, hips back on your heels. Child's pose, that third eye, one potato, two potato, third potato on top, or the edge of a brick underneath that third eye. child's pose. Again, exploring your back body with breath. And then eventually pressing yourself on up, stretching those legs out in front. I will leave you here. You're welcome to Shavasana on your own. Otherwise, join your hands together at your heart. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste. Have a lovely day, everybody.
Bye, Brandy. Have a good day.
You too, Penny.
Thank you.